I've always loved cars. Something about these machines we build gives me a feeling of joy and excitement that nothing in my life can ever top. Ever since I was a kid, I used to always play games on my GameCube and watch movies about cars, and even though most people look at them as just a means of transportation, to me, they were so much more. During this time, I remember my dad telling me stories about his passion for cars and the people he met, the races he won, and the lessons he learned. And even before I was old enough to hold a license for my own, I knew I wanted to make my own stories to tell the next generation, just like my father before me. What is up everyone, welcome back to the video. So Mikey from JDM Icon here, and in today's video, if you couldn't guess already, I'm going to be telling you guys why I think the JDM car scene is so strong and it's popping right now and it's a huge trend. And I think I am the perfect example because I grew up in a time where muscle cars were like the big thing, but I wasn't old enough to understand the difference between a muscle car and a tuner car at the time. And I honestly just like cars, not because my friends were into it or because it's a trend, but I genuinely just love Japanese cars. And in this video, I'm going to tell you all about it. So let's go ahead, hop in the Z, and go for a drive. I think it's fitting that I make this video in a right-hand drive car. It's not like I have any other choice. My mom's car is from Japan and my brother's CRV is not here, but it's also from Japan. Of course, gotta start the video with a ding. You know, it's actually a really nice day today. My car works, the sun is out, the snow just looks so cute on like the roofs and stuff like that on houses. Feels like I'm in a Canadian anime. Everything is just good today, you know. I hope you guys are having a good day too. Went a little loosey-goosey there. Alright, so to start this video, we're gonna be talking about muscle cars, actually. Because muscle cars actually have a lot in common with JDM cars than you initially think. Now, I'm not really talking about the engines or the car specs or even certain models in general, but just how muscle cars became popular. In the 1950s and 60s, that's when the American cars, oh, that is really bright. So the way muscle cars became popular was in the 1960s, a lot of the car guys that were probably in their like 20s, the cars that were available at the time in the 60s were Mustangs, Camaros, which were the entry-level, cheaper cars of that time. And as those people got older, they obviously settled down, had a family, and they couldn't keep that old Mustang, or that Camaro that they had was getting too old and it wasn't big enough for a family, right? So they probably sold it, and now that they're older, what do they want? They want those cars, because those were the cars that were marketed to that audience. That's exactly why the muscle car market has been so big these past few decades, because the guys that had money wanted those cars, the old Camaros, Mustangs, Chargers, Challengers, Chevelles, stuff like that. They wanted those cars since those are the cars that they had growing up and when they were young. They're chasing nostalgia. Now let's fast forward to our generation. If you guys are anything like me, you guys probably grew up playing Need for Speed Underground 2, Need for Speed Most Wanted, and most of the cars that were in those games were Japanese sports cars. Now in the early 2000s, there was a small movie that came out which is a huge influence in today's car scene and car community, which was called The Fast and the Furious. Now obviously there is muscle cars because, again, the guys who actually could afford to watch that movie liked muscle cars. They also wanted to show off the other cars that were in the car scene at the time, which was tuner cars. It was still a new thing in America. It was obviously huge in Japan because they didn't have Camaros in Japan. They had cars like the 350Z, the Celica, the Evos, the STIs and stuff like that, which were cars that were eventually came to North America. To add to that, there was a small TV show that started in Japan in the late 90s all the way up to like I think the mid 2000s or something like that. I'm not 100% sure when the show ended, but it was called Initial D. If you guys have not watched Initial D, after you finish watching this video, you gotta go check out Initial D because it is an amazing TV show. It was all about the Japanese car culture. Not a single American car was in that show because it was based in Japan, and you grew up watching those shows, watching the Fast and Furious. You probably didn't go to sleep at night as a kid and dream of owning a Camaro or owning a Corvette. You probably were like me and dreamed of owning a Skyline. Shit. Can't see shit. Now, if you guys are anything like me and you guys grew up watching all these shows, playing the Need for Speed games, customizing cars, changing bumpers, adding aggressive front bumpers, ricing out cars, putting huge wings on a Miata, changing the wheels, putting spinners, putting underglow on the car, putting a weird graphic on the side of the car. To the muscle car generation, that is absurd. Why would you ever put lights underneath your car? But to us, that was different. That was something we don't see every day, and that's something that I personally, as a kid, looked up to, and I looked forward to getting my license, buying my own car, and doing those exact mods that I did in the game, but in real life. And the JDM car culture is exactly all about that. It's all about expressing yourself and making your car stand out. But recently, there's a new generation of car enthusiasts that haven't exactly grew up watching Initial D. They don't really know much about cars. Maybe they've seen the Fast and the Furious films, but they probably like the later ones and don't really look into the first two movies. Recently, I feel JDM Cars has been a trend because I tend to run into a lot of people because of social media are just starting to get into cars, and they like Japanese cars, but they haven't watched Initial D. They're just getting into cars because their friends are into cars and they haven't even watched the Fast and the Furious trilogy. Which there's nothing wrong with that. It's a new generation of car enthusiasts that we have to welcome to the scene and kind of teach them the ropes. And the 8.6 is such a nostalgic car, even though it's just an old Corolla with a 1.6 liter motor and it's not even that fast around the corners or in a straight line. But because of Initial D, we look up to that car so much, and so many people have bought and modified that chassis because of that anime, because of that TV show. Quite frankly, JDM icons aren't, no pun intended, but these icons aren't just the cars. It's the whole culture itself. It's everything. Everything back then influenced the car scene today. A lot of the trends are coming back. Back in 2015, no one really wanted clear taillights. But now, recently, I started seeing more builds that have clear taillights, and in my opinion, it genuinely looks good on some cars and it can be easily pulled off. Underglow has been coming back, anime liveries. Nowadays, it's all about expressing yourself. And if you watch anime and you want to put your favorite anime character on the side of your car, that's cool. Cambers all started at the racetrack because you can maximize your contact patch on your front tires to make the car have better grip. But nowadays, they use camber to have less grip and to have your wheels super tilted like that. And even though it may not be my style, it's definitely someone else's style, and that's what the car scene is all about nowadays. But anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching this video. It means a lot that you guys are tuning in and supporting the channel. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers. To me, 10,000 is a huge milestone that just shows that there are people that enjoy watching my mediocre videos about my cars, and people that enjoy my cars just as much as I enjoy making videos on my cars. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in. It really means a lot. If you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as it really helps out the algorithm. And you guys are honestly the reason why I keep making videos and putting them online, because I just honestly enjoy driving cars, playing around with cars, making cars look cool, and making videos on them. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.